You know that feeling when you think you're winning and then suddenly everything changes? That's exactly what happened to America in October 1957. It was a quiet evening. Most families were at home, listening to the radio or watching television. Then came the news that shook the entire country. The Soviet Union had launched a small metal sphere into orbit around the Earth. They called it Sputnik 1. For the United States, it wasn't just a scientific achievement, it felt like a national humiliation. Here was the Soviet Union, a country many Americans thought was backward and struggling, beating them to space. The beeping signal from Sputnik could be heard by amateur radio operators all over the world. It was shocking. But what most people didn't know at the time was that this success wasn't the result of some giant, well-organized space agency. There was no single Soviet NASA. The entire program was driven by a few secret design bureaus, and the most important one was led by one man. His name was Sergei Pavlovich Korolev. In Asif Siddiqui's book, Challenge to Apollo, we finally get a clear and detailed look at how the Soviet Union took an early lead in the space race, even while operating under an incredibly difficult political system. Korolev wasn't just another engineer, he was a survivor. He had spent years in Stalin's gulag, survived torture and starvation, and still came back to lead one of the most ambitious technological efforts in human history. While the world celebrated Sputnik, very few knew that the real architect behind it was a man the Soviet government kept completely secret for decades. He was known only as the chief designer. The launch of Sputnik 1 marked the beginning of a fierce competition that would last almost 2 decades. The Americans were caught completely off guard. In Washington, there was panic. Politicians, scientists, and the military suddenly realized they were behind in a race they didn't even know had started. President Eisenhower tried to calm the public, but fear spread quickly. Newspapers warned that Soviets might soon be dropping nuclear bombs from space. Schools began pushing harder on science and math. The space race had officially begun, and for the first few years, the Soviets were clearly ahead. Yet beneath those early victories, deep problems were already forming inside the Soviet system. Problems that would eventually cause them to lose the race to the moon despite starting far in front. This is the story of how the Soviet Union went from dominating the early years of space exploration to watching America land on the moon first. It's a story of brilliance, secrecy, political games, incredible achievements, and heartbreaking failure. And at the center of it all stands one man, Sergei Korolev, the hidden genius who almost beat America to the moon.